what the solution to this is? Fathers. Because fathers are supposed to vet the men we pick. That's the real solution. Fathers. Fathers don't pick abusive men. They want what's best for their daughter.
Well,
but the problem is, again, was women have gotten more choice. What have they chosen? To be by our damn selves and take money from the government instead of fathers. And then when there are situations like that, what is the slogan? Daddy issues. There's a reason.
Well, that kind of like contradicts your own point, because the whole idea is that, hey, guess what? There are bad fathers out there that would pick bad spouses for their children. They don't care about their children very much, or they're bad
that's not
fathers
what I said.
themselves.
That's not what I said. No, that's not what I said.
Did you say fathers are the solution to
I
this
said
problem?
fathers are the most important thing to a child's upbringing. A kid needs a father.
Yeah. But you also said that, like, oh, if fathers just chose their, spouses.
I would say women get pregnant for men that do not wish to be fathers often and don't really give a shit about them, a lot of times because they're trying to trap a guy. And I think that's a bad situation. And I think that's why it's important that we have fathers to vet the men that we choose.
Yeah, but that's a problem within itself, because you have those bad fathers that keep the cycle going. Like, not everybody has a good father that can choose a good spouse for them.
So it's like, if we had these terrible fathers, why is it that the single dad homes are turning out better than the single mom homes?
Exactly.
Well, I would argue that like a single dad home most likely has like a larger, if you're able to, let me start here. I do think that there are disadvantages towards being a man in a legal system. I just want to make that clear. Now, if you have the money to fight those disadvantages, chances are you're a lot more stable and you're a lot more like financially.
What do you mean the money to fight those?
Well, you agree that there's that there's a disparity towards
you
women.
really equate money to everything. Like, you keep going back to this.
Okay, the reason why I keep going back to it is because it's a fact that at the very least in Western society, hey, guess what? Being able to have a lot of money means being able to give your child a good education, surround them with like
Did you know? Wait. What just happened to Elon Musk?
What do you mean?
Elon Musk's kid. You didn't hear about it?
What about
came out a woke liberal hating him.
Yeah.
Money doesn't buy good children. Look at Michelle. Look at the Obama's kids. Look at Joe Biden's kids. Those are all people with access to the best of the best.
Let me be clear. It's money and good parenthood. And I don't want to start putting down good parenthood. That was never my intention here. My intention here is to show like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't think that the vast majority of single mothers just, divorce out of whim. I think there are structural issues that have to be addressed.
I would say they divorce out of selfishness. And I would say that's the biggest thing. Because the thing is, if you talk to like grandmothers, great-grandmothers, because we really have like one, maybe two generations, in my opinion, of just shitty wives, bad wives, overall, just bad. But if you talk to like the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers, divorce was never an option. Because they cared about the family more than themselves. But now we have a generation of wives that care about themselves more than the family and their personal happiness. And also, when the kids are supposed to be the most important thing.
Yeah, I think, I think that...
Would you agree with that? The kids should be more important than you?
Yes.
Okay. Wait. So if the kids are more important than you, wouldn't it be selfish to divorce for personal reasons?
Not necessarily. Because if those personal reasons...
In general.
Can I finish the sentence and then you tell me?
No, in general.
I guess
in general,
yes.
Okay, so in general, it's selfish to divorce for yourself.
That's where I disagree. Because
you just said
let me I have to finish the statement. I have to put it in a context that makes sense.
I know,
right?
but because what you tend to do is just like go to these fringe, well, if this crazy thing happens, then okay, but like in general.
Well, that's the thing. It's not fringe, right?
Okay.
We live, and I think we can argue this goes back to traditional gender roles. We live in a society where, hey, like a lot of women are doing a lot of labor outside the house, inside the house, taking down two roles that people...
Okay, I have a question. Do you think most modern chicks have recipes that they've learned from their grandma, that have a cookbook of stuff that they know how to make? Do you think that's the norm?
No.
Okay. Do you think, like, if you go into a random girl's car, is it neat most of the time?
No.
Okay, so so now just based off of all the people in this room shaking their heads at these things, we're showing women don't really have those traditional skills.
Okay, but
so
why do women not have these traditional skills?
Because they don't have fathers. But anyways, my point.
Wait. Wait, so you're blaming it on men?
something.
Wait, you're literally blaming it on men now.
No, listen.
No, the
listen,
women
You're
forget
saying
it.
they didn't have fathers. It's a man's fault then.
It's not a man's fault.
You're saying they didn't have fathers,
They
so
didn't
that's
have fathers,
why.
doesn't-
First of all, I think raising your children and spending time with them is work, but good work. I think it's a work that everybody should do.
Yes,
Okay?
someone
I
needs
don't.
to provide.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we live in an era of immense wealth, right? We live in an era where companies should be, hey, you know what? You're having children, you're contributing to this society, and you're a good worker.
So your
hey,
solution is
you
that
shouldn't get punished.
We should live in an idealistic world.
Yeah,
not
in a
real
fair-
Well,
world.
this
in
isn't
fair-
an idealistic world. There's
Yeah,
countries
I
in
have-
Europe
Why-
right now.
Yeah.
And this is why we have this shit.
I have a-
Because the reality is, the reality is, women always like to make everything like Disney.
Wait, I have
Wait,
a,
but
I have- I have a
Denmark,
question.
Switzerland, Finland.
I have a question. Do you think that we have a higher standard of living than ever before in the West
Yes.
from 100 years ago?
Yeah.
And yet you're still whining.
Well,
You see, like it's the same thing. It's like we're
okay.
now we need more parental leave.
If I'm whining, then like we're in the same levels of whining, I guess, because I'm literally arguing right now that hey, men should have more access to their children.
You know, but okay. I would say that women should stop leaving. I think that would be a better solution. I think we should stop paying women to leave. I think that would be the ultimate. We could agree on that, right? You shouldn't be paid to leave your husband.
Well, that's a thing. They're still in a financial disadvantage when they leave their husband. That's a problem. But they still choose that. And why do they choose that?
So if they're at a financial disadvantage when they can kick their husband out of the house that he owns with one phone call. It's common.
I think this is pretty anecdotal because, like, at least from what I've read, like, the result
how many men that have been divorced have you spoken to?
It's not about who I've spoken to. It's about,
but this is the problem we get into is like these liberal people think they know everything and they read some studies and Google some stuff online, but the people that have actually spoken to the people and are actually
I've spoken to 100 guys who have said that.
All right,
Well,
that's the problem with anecdotal evidence.
This is the issue that we were coming into earlier when you were like you were talking about Africa and the guys from Africa are like, no, this is what it's like, and it's the same thing. It's like I genuinely think we can come to the best conclusions by what we see in front of us, what is in reality, and even just the reputations that things have. Why do we have phrases like it's cheaper to keep her? If men are doing so much better after divorce, why is that a phrase?
Okay. I think when you say anecdotal evidence is enough, to me that's crazy because I could have a completely different life anecdotal experience than you. And guess what? At the end of the day, they would both be equal because it's anecdotal. That's why we refer to data and studies.
But then you can look at the anecdotal evidence of say you broaden your sample in that case. So you would look at the anecdotal evidence of everyone in this room and see which general narrative is more common than the other.
And that's why we have studies where we literally take the day of, like a
but
million
do you not
people.
think
we can take the data from the room.
To take the data from the immediate vicinity, because at least that way you have a bit more validity in the sample that you have right in front of you. Because that's like, say if 100 studies came out tomorrow that the sky is green, we can all read that, right? But realistically, you can look.
Okay, to me that's radically different than like, just getting the sample data size from this room, because there's something called selection bias. And that's a problem that happens in general, right?